and feels like chaos because chaos is really the reordering of everything, and order is heaven's first law. So, whatever God is wanting to reveal to you, He will create chaos, which is actually just a reordering, a restructuring, a recalibration, because something wants to be revealed as Him in you, because that's where God is, in you.
Welcome to Winning the Divine Lottery. I'm your host, Amy Dons.
Hey everyone, so glad to be back live on camera, on video. I have to show you sporting my cast here. I actually go to get it changed tomorrow, and I did put some art, but it's that way. It's facing me. So, I just like to take a deep breath and thank you for your patience. Last week, all I had the energy for was like a 10-minute audio version. And there's this thing called grace that I love, that I speak to all the time. And grace is just filled with so much compassion and love and forgiveness. And like when we take off the need to perform and the need to prove, we just get to be, and there's no pressure. And I've really been in this energy the last week and a little bit, and I really wanted to share with you about the My Time to Rise summit that just happened. I really want to share with you being worthy and what it means to not seek anything outside of yourself that's conditional to validate your worth. And also just to bring everybody in the collective back into this space of our birthright, our worthy inheritance. The reason I started this podcast to begin with is that we have this inheritance simply because we exist. And it's really time to start claiming it even more and more and more. But before I begin, I wanted to share with you something really exciting that birthed through me that I used to actually do on YouTube called Ask Amy. And I've just expanded it in a beautiful and really fun and exciting and powerful way. And Ask Amy is like, you get to show up with your burning question, ask me anything, and I will channel an intuitive transmission for you. It's like getting a 20-minute mini podcast recording from me straight to your inbox that you can have forever. It's deeply intuitive, deeply soulful, and I'm doing a launching price of $88 for that right now. So if you love this episode, if you love what comes through me on these episodes, and you want something a little more personal, a little more soul shaking, specific to your life, I also have a no BS approach. I'll say it like it is with so much love. So ask Amy. You can message me on my website or get a hold of me on Instagram, and really just think of one question that you would really love to have answered, more insight to, and I will do a 20-minute recording for you similar to this. So that's really exciting. And I just wanted to bring you into what's been happening behind the scenes. Um, Day 6 of being in recovery of this broken wrist. Well, it's not broken anymore. I have to stop calling it broken. I broke my wrist, which is in the past, and it is healing wonderfully. So I had to go back 6 days after the incident happened. And I did what I've learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza, which is meditate every day, and saw my wrist reconstructing back into its proper position and form, so all the bones were aligned. I even did some research online so I could get an image of what that looks like, how like the full alignment happens. And I had two really mystical experiences. One that was very somatic, where there was just this frequency moving my arm through my arm when I was resting on my couch and I had it elevated, and there was just these waves moving through my arm, and it literally felt like arm was moving on the pillow, but it literally felt like my arm was doing this. And while that was happening, my arm became light as a feather, and it felt so free and it felt so incredible. And I could feel this presence of just love and peace surrounding me. And when that meditation was finished, I got up and I put on some very soulful music and I closed my eyes and I swayed and I danced. And I knew in that moment that the healing had happened. And then I had another meditation where my my highest self, my soul, my light body, I could see, which is really me, sending me energy from her wrist to my wrist. It was like this light activation, and I could feel it and see it going into my wrist. So that spoke to the version of me that had already healed the wrist, giving me the light of that wrist into this wrist. It was really, really wild. So when I went to, oh, I'm going to say one more thing. Um, I had surrendered to needing surgery. If that was the best possible outcome to get me the desired result of having my wrist healed, pain-free, being back to using it normally, all of the things, I had surrendered to that. And I also, from these two mystical meditations, had an experience, almost like a deep knowing that I didn't need the healing of my wrist, like the miracle of not needing surgery to feel worthy. It was just this deep, like remembering that I am worthy and I don't need that to validate my worth. So that was really huge for me. And when I went to get it recast, oh my gosh, it felt so good. Shout out to the nurses who do this. The nurse who served me was such a sweetheart. She washed my arm. Like, I was just in so much gratitude the entire time I was there. If any of you have broken anything and have worn a cast, you know what I'm talking about. When someone just takes so much care and is so tender and gentle with you and washes, whatever was underneath the cast, it was just a beautiful, incredible experience. And so when I went and got my x-ray and came back, the doctor walked in and it happened so fast and it was just a few simple lines. And he looked at me, he said, well, it's holding nicely. We can just continue to go and see kind of what happens over the next 2 weeks. I don't quite know what he said, except for it's really holding nicely. That's what he said. And you had to be there. It was like this nonchalant, of course this was going to happen. I was like, that's it. Can I see my x-ray? And so he showed me my x-ray and I took a picture of it. And yeah, it like perfectly aligned. All the bones were in its place. And I was like so happy after that. So like in the celebration mode that what I was doing was working. And I went outside to wait for my ride to come and get me, and I called my mom, and I was just so ecstatic leaving people messages that this stuff works, right? Um, Fast forward to the weekend. So that was on a Thursday. Saturday was the My Time to Rise Summit. This big event that we've been working on for the last 6 weeks. And if you've ever committed to an event and then got injured and still followed through with everything, again, you'll be able to relate to me. Physically, in the moments where I wasn't speaking and I was sitting or I was moving, like there was so much movement, you guys. We had like glow in the dark beach volleyballs. It was so awesome. Anyways, there was so much movement. There was so much pain, the sensation of pain in my body because I hadn't moved that much and my body was still in the healing process. Well, it still is. And anyways, I like it was a lot. It was like I ran a marathon that day physically. However, when I was on stage and I was speaking, I can't tell you, this is a moment of coming home to myself because I was born to be on stage. I've been on stages since I was 4 years old. I knew I was born to be on stage. It's amazing how many times my life has pivoted and I found myself back on stage, and then there's been these big gaps. How, I've taken courses with Lisa Nichols, Speak and Write to Make Millions, and then came home and didn't really do anything with it. Anyways, I just was really reflecting on how many times being on stage has shown up in my life and how I've always felt this call to be on stages and to be a speaker. And I've never, I don't think, fully committed to that, even though I've had awareness, I've heard like intuitive nudges, etc., etc. And yet I know it's all unfolding perfectly. But being on stage at the My Time to Rise Summit, I felt in my zone of genius. I felt so authentic, so free, so open to be me, so at home in my skin. And I totally forgot my arm was in the cast when I was doing it. Like I couldn't feel it because I was just so present and so in the moment, right? And it was it was both life-giving and also like so natural for me. You know when something feels so natural for you, it's effortless, it's easy, it's expansive. And I came home that night and I was in so much pain and I knew I just needed to have some downtime and reset. And the next morning I was like, I know I'm just going to focus on my healing for the next little bit. I'm not even like thinking about what I'm doing next. And then I forgot I have an event coming up May 10th here. It's a 2 hour event, one-on-one with me. And then I remembered later on how much I love being on stage. And I was like, wait a second, like, let's plan the next event, the next two events. And so it was just funny how I thought I would need like a full 24 hours to just process and not need to know what's happening next. But then I'm like, let's go. Let's do something else. And at the same time, wanting to just be the space to call in opportunities as well. So I have had so many people reach out to me, thanking me. I had this one testimonial from my friend that blew my mind. Like it shocked me to my core actually, that I didn't even know how to respond and I cried. I was so humbled because I have been one to always speak to how important our dreams are because I've seen it in my own life. Like if somebody hadn't wrote that song, I wouldn't have had that experience with that song, that exact moment that provided me with that thing. And I've spoken to this for a really, really long time of how our dreams are meant for so many people that we will never, ever, 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 ever meet. And so when you get one little glimpse of how you showing up for your calling and following and pursuing your dreams has helped somebody else, I mean, that's God. That is the grace of God. That is beyond Amy. That is just following my heart and following my highest passion. And that's the expression of divinity, the expression of the divine lottery working through me. It's just incredible. And the fact that we can choose to live our lives this way is so incredibly amazing. And so when I asked my soul what it wanted to express through me on today's podcast, it was about being worthy. This whole topic about being worthy and how being worthy means we don't need any outside validation to prove that we're worthy because that one little awareness that I had was really small and subtle and yet shifted so much for me because I can look through and even feel the energy of when I'm trying to prove something. And when I'm trying to prove something, I'm wanting to take something. I'm wanting to get something, right? So being worthy means that we are. It means we are worthy. It's not conditional. It's not based on the things that you think that you need to change in your life on the external. So, for example, like even if I had to have had the surgery, I'm still worthy. And I was having this like aha moment of asking you to just look around wherever you are right now, okay? Really take in your environment. Your worthiness is not dependent on that. Like, go ahead and check your bank account if you can, and look at the amount of money in there. Your worthy is not dependent on that. Go look in your fridge. Go look um, outside. Go look at the car you drive. Go look at the amount of emails that came through. Look at the bills that have come through. Like, look at everything and really realize that your worthiness is not dependent on that thing. Your worthiness is, it's your birthright. It's because you are here and because you exist. You are worthy of this life. And life is worthy of you. And your dreams are worthy of you. And I mean, look at your face in the mirror right now. Look at your body. Like get undressed and get in front of a mirror and look at your body. This is going to be such a profound exercise for you because if there are things that you don't like, whether it's about your body or in your environment, and you can be with the uncomfortability of looking at those aspects in your outer world and being okay with being uncomfortable if emotions come up and realizing and saying to yourself, I am worthy even with that perspective. I am worthy even with that perceived flaw. I am worthy even with, okay? This is the thing. Your worthiness is not conditional, it's unconditional. It's not based on your conditions. And the thing is, I do believe as a collective human energy, deep in our core, we believe that we have to prove our worth, that we have to achieve to feel worthy, that we have to be successful to feel worthy. And I mean, this can look different for everybody, like your measure of success, your measure of achievement, all the things, your measure of your relationship and how it looks and how it feels. I mean, your measure of how you are as a parent. All of these things have nothing to do with your worth. They do not matter unless you make them matter. And what I'm asking you and inviting you in today is to make them not matter anymore. Because once you make them not matter anymore, your worthiness gets to be what it was always supposed to be and meant to be, which is your birthright. Simply because you exist, you're worthy. And if this can shift even a little bit true north towards your heart and your soul, things will change because you won't hold yourself attached to something external in order to get a feeling of worthiness. And underneath worthiness is really just we're craving love. We're craving love. We're craving love, even in acceptance, even in being seen. We're craving love, and that doesn't come from anything external. It comes from knowing who we are in the inside. And if you know, and if you want to know that your worthiness is built in, it's inherent because you're here, then you start to lessen resistance to the external, and then wildly, the externally will start reflecting that, but not because you're doing it to get something or you're doing it to take away, right? Lean into this and lean into the difference of the energy from knowing your worth and not needing to prove yourself, but instead of showing up and being fully present. And that's really what happened to me on that stage. Yes, I wrote 13 pages to prepare. Yes, I practiced in my living room. Yes, 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 I did all the things, but I knew enough to not bring my notes worth with me because I knew that once I was there, there was something greater that was going to take place. It's called the unknown. I knew that the unknown would show up for me, and I knew if I was totally, completely present to the best of my ability, then whatever that I've rehearsed, whatever I wrote down, all of those things would come through in the way that they were meant to come through. And that's exactly what happened. And other things showed up and other things came through. And I didn't say everything that I had written, and I was totally okay with that because when you're present, you're one. So I was one with the stage. I was one with the audience. I was one with all the technical things that were taking place. Like I was one with the energy. I was no longer separate from it. I didn't, sometimes what happens is if we have notes and we think, and I'm just using this as an example. You can relate this to anything in your life, but when we think things should go a certain way, we get in our heads and we're not fully present. So had I had shown up there thinking, oh my gosh, I have to remember everything word for word that I wrote down, and I better say it in the exact same way that I practice in my living room, um, then I am not present. I'm living from a known expectation, and that's actually based on lack and fear. Instead of understanding that, wait a second, I'm always supported. I'm one with the divine. Whatever needs to come through me will come through me, even if it was a totally different speech. That's a level of faith and trust in that it's not about us. It's never about us, really. I mean, it is because we're one with everything. So we obviously expand, but really it's about everybody that was there, right? I was there to be an example and to demonstrate the divine in the way that wanted to be fully expressed through Amy and through the personality. And it was just a beautiful experience. So, where in your life do you do this? Like, start becoming really aware of where do you think things have to go a certain way, where it brings you back up into the head, it creates division and separation, it makes you separate from whatever you're being and doing. And instantaneously, when you do that, when you come from a place of separation, you're coming from a place of lack. You're coming from a place of not enough. So, built into that automatically is you're trying to prove something. You're trying to prove your worth. You're trying to prove that you're enough. You're trying to prove that you're worthy of clients. You're trying to prove that you're worthy of success. You're trying to prove that you're worthy of massive wealth flowing into your life. You're trying to prove something. And when you take out the needing to prove because you know you're inherently worthy, like that is your birthright. I mean, that in and of itself, if you worked on that one belief, if you changed the belief from I need to prove do in order to get do to I'm worthy. I am. Like that's who I am. I am worth. I am worthy. That can and I know it will. Like I'm seeing it in my own life. And I will continue to see it. And I will continue to become aware of all the places in my life where there is a part of my personality that still believes that I have to prove something in order to get something, right? And the thing is, if we look at like the context from Neville Goddard, Florence Scovel Shinn, and the Bible, the kingdom of heaven is ours. Like it's ours. That means everything heavenly, everything good, all of our desires is already here right now. And if we think that we need to prove something in order to like extract that from the kingdom, we are doing it backwards and we're throwing resistance on our path and we're creating obstacles. If it's here and I am worthy, then the only thing that actually needs to happen is for it to be revealed to me in the way God, the universe, source wants to reveal it to me in the time and in the unfolding, the how. If I move through my life like that, wow, I can already feel pressure off. Freedom, yeah, hallelujah. Fun, playful, like it liberates so much energy. It means I believe in my worth and I believe that the kingdom of heaven is mine and it's here. And I don't need to constantly go from one moment in survival to keep trying to get things, to treat trying to become something instead of allow the unfoldment of who I am already in my true essence, in my being, to bloom, to radiate. That feels like ease. And anything that we're trying to get or manifest in our life, gives us a few things, but one of them is ease. It's the relief. Ah, but the relief is in knowing that you're inherently worthy and everything that you want and desire is already here. And like if you could see God's hands, these massive hands that have no bounds and they're beyond time and space and they just extend forever and ever and ever and ever. And God is just like, here, you asked for it here. Like you don't have to prove anything. You just have to be that. You have to be the one who knows and has faith in that. I'm reflecting already on the beginning to now in this podcast because I love how when I first start speaking, sometimes I feel um not as grounded, not sure, right? What's going to come out of my mouth. And then all of a sudden, I feel this flow because I become so incredibly present. And then this content shows up and just pours through me. And as it pours through me, I am also hearing it. It's coming through me, so it's for me as well. And when you're present, that's what gets to happen. You get to be aware of it all. It's so cool being worthy. Knowing your worth is knowing you. Knowing your worth is knowing God. That's all you ever need. Because God provides it all. The kingdom of heaven is here for us. And I one of my favorite um sayings is heaven is order's first law. And that's because whatever chaos that we are perceiving in our life, aka a broken wrist, and a healing and a cast, that really makes life. I mean, you have to pivot, you have to adjust to do it. I have so much compassion with people who only have one hand to do everything. Like, I'm giving a shout out to you. You are fucking a rock star. Like, when life happens like that and feels like chaos, because chaos is really the reordering of everything, and order is heaven's first law. So, whatever God is wanting to reveal to you, He will create chaos, which is actually just a reordering, a restructuring, a recalibration, because something wants to be revealed as Him in you, because that's where God is, in you. So you have this revealing and this awareness. Do you know how valuable? I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And it's not like I went out and asked, I want to break my wrist so I can gain all of this value. No, that's not how it happens. But do you know how much value has been given to me from this? Value of receiving help, value of asking for help without guilt, value of having to recalibrate with my son because he's 17 and he's had to step it up like 10 levels to help me in ways that he never expected. And the first week was chaotic. We were getting on each other's nerves. We were both frustrated and both vulnerable. But we got to this place where we found our rhythm and flow and we came back together and we had a chat and we talked about it. And I was like, do you need anything specific from me when I need something specific from you? I mean, it's always the reorder always has value. Being able to show up on stage at the summit with a cast on my arm and still talking about being worthy. Like I have tingles through that arm right now because I'm saying this. How valuable is that? The mystical experiences I had in meditation, knowing that, wow, actually, this stuff does work. I didn't need to bypass the surgery to prove my worth. And I also got to have the experience of meditation works when I'm focused on my wrist reconstructing itself. That's how, if God is in me, then why the hell not? There's no limits. Everything is possible. If people can grow back organs, why can't I reconstruct and heal my wrist? If God is in me, why not? Why would I limit an unlimited universe, God, the quantum field? I I have. I've done it so many, and you guys have done it so many times. Because we're taught limitations and we're taught to blame our limitations. And we're taught to project our limitations onto the future because it's what we know and it's familiar and that's safe. The value of my body. Oh my God. Oh my God. The value of my body. And if I'm being totally transparent, you guys, the morning I went for my walk, I looked in the mirror and I said out loud, it's true. I don't like all the wrinkles I'm starting to see around my eyes. This is not something I want. I was going through a little bit of a shit show inside about how I'm starting to see my body age, and it felt like it was quite rapid. And I said that out loud. And then this happened. And the value I have for my body, you don't know until you temporarily don't have use of the things you had use of. How it's connected to everything. And I'm getting so teary-eyed because I'm so fucking passionate about this. The value of my body, the way it was working, even if I didn't think it was working to its prime. Oh my God. Every sleepless night, every toss and turn, the value of my body, the familiarity, right? Of being able to sleep the way I once slept just got stripped away temporarily. The value of being conscious. Do you know how much slower some things that I have to do, like opening things, but also like how capable one arm and one side of my body is capable of doing? It's incredible, and how fast it's adjusted. The value of a positive outlook, of having an attitude where I got this, not because I have to prove that I'm a superhero, but because I know if I'm in the energy of my wrist being healed to the best of my ability as much as possible, then that's exactly what's going to happen. So much value. The value of not driving and finding other ways to move and utilize my time. The value of slowing down and doing way more intentional focus meditations. Like I meditate every day, regardless. I have to adjust and pivot. The value of pivoting and readjusting. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I hopefully you guys can still hear me. The microphone's quite a far away. But the value of um rest, listening to what my body needs, listening to what my soul needs intently and with like a loving focus. Uh, it's opened up another portal of awareness for me. Like even the value of catching my thoughts when they go down the road of lack and doubt and worry. Because as soon as something interrupts your life from one way into another way, all of the conditioned beliefs that you have about life, about making money, about working, the value of, I'm turning to my left because it's here, the value of completing a painting, you know, things like this show you where you still need to heal on the inside and that you still need to grow. Like there's so much value in that. The value in the pause. Because the truth is, if you were here in my living room or if you were in an audience and I was on the stage, that's exactly what I would do. I would take these pauses when I feel called to take them and take the deep breaths when I feel called to take them. And so if you receive anything out of today's podcast, it's how can you find the value in everything that you're resisting right now? And how can you know that your worthy isn't tied up in those things? Your worthiness is not tied up in those things. And that no matter what happens, and no matter what life shows you, no matter what chaos and what challenges come, that they have to be valuable or they wouldn't be happening because you are worthy. I'm going to leave it at that. I love you guys so much. I hope you have an incredible, incredible rest of your day.
If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend.